Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Cyber Martial Occurrence Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day. So this video is going to be about how pimps can take advantage of child marriage and the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. How street pimps can take advantage of child marriage and the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. So as we know, most of us know this that has any understanding of the streets and the pimp life in the streets. We understand that they want them young as they come. They don't go after no 50-year-old prostitutes and whores. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ain't trying to sell, you know, prostitutes that's 55 years old. They try to get them as these pimps out here in America try to get them as young as they can. You know what I'm saying? Because they're more easy to control. It's for more than one reason. They're more easy to control. They're more easy to manipulate. They're more and in the sex world, their bodies are more fresh, right? Their bodies are not wore and tore on from a lot of sexuality or even babies. You know what I'm saying? They ain't had no babies. They haven't had a lot of sex partners, and that's ideal for pimps, right? So more times than not, they're also in the category of going under 18 and being with these girls that's like between 15 and 17, maybe even younger, maybe 14, maybe 13. You know, even they teenage, soon as they become a teenager, like 13 to 17, many pimps has probably been on them. But the bottom line is this, the age of consent is under 18 in 40 states. That means in 40 states in America, adults can have sex with children, right? So if you find someone that's a pimp and he knows the age of consent is under 18 and that's ideal for him already. Your government has made it ideal for him. And he find a girl that's looking for a glamorous life, you know what I'm saying, looking for a little fun and and freaky sex even. He find that's ideal. If he find that and he turn around and give her great sex or whatever, and she's into it, then it's nothing the American government can really do for her being with this person, this individual, because they made it legal for men to be with girls. And so it's an ideal situation for pimps. And in other words, it's an ideal situation for any kind of pimps or people that sex traffic girls or men that are not really pimps. They just sell out girls. They don't have no type of pimp style or nothing like that. They're not necessarily a pimp per se, but they sell girls out, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you got pimps and you got guys that and women that just sell girls out, and they're not necessarily pimped by lifestyle or by by how they move and by their principles and by the lane that they're in. They're not really pimps. So you got pimps slash people who sell out girls and boys, right? These laws make it easy for them. So child marriage, in other words, in situations where a pimp is manipulative towards the family, child marriage is ideal for him because all he got to do is prove this is his wife. That's all he got to prove. A little child is his wife. And he can bring as many people to that house as he wants to. And even when it comes to transactions, everybody know that as long as you don't incriminate yourself the wrong way, you can get the money and what can they do? You know what I'm saying? I used to prostitute myself, so I know how you can say the right things where you don't incriminate yourself when you're getting the money. You know what I'm saying? You say you accept gifts. You accept, gifts. What can you say? Because a gift is free. A gift is something that someone gives you, like on their own. You know what I'm saying? And so you could say it in a way where, you know what I'm saying, you think you can help me out with some money? That's not saying that this sex act is a transaction. If you have sex with someone and then you say, yo, you think you can help me out with some money? As long as you don't use the sound bite that they're trying to get you to use, like, well, I give you this, so you want me to pay for the sex? If you say yes, then you just lost. But if you say, well, I'm not saying pay for the sex. I'm saying, can you help me out with a couple dollars? Then they can't really incriminate you because y'all had a sex act and you're just asking someone that you just been intimate with, can they help you with some money? Which is really normal. Even if you have one night stands, if you have sex with somebody that you might not necessarily be in a relationship with, it's normal after sex or after that level of sexual contact, that you might ask, you close enough to ask them, can they help you out? You're close enough to ask them, can they help you out? In the street world, in the world out here where people trying to survive, that's close enough to ask them to help you out. If you ask complete strangers, people on the streets ask complete strangers to help them out, you don't think you can ask someone that you're intimate with or sexual with, can they help you out? So then I say all that to say this, you could have a pimp that's pimping out a girl, and all she got to do, he could be married to her and pimping her out and say, yo, can you all she got to do is say, can you help me out? Boom. Can you help me out? That's all she got to say every single time. And so he could be pimping out a little girl, and all she doing is saying, can you help me out? Can you help me out? And the cops can't get her or him because they're legally married, first of all. So you can't do no sex trafficking charge. You can't do that. And you can't get a prostitution transaction because she's slick with her words. It's all about the words when it comes to that sexual transaction. That transaction. So if she just have sex with the person and she don't get the money up front and she move like that, then ain't nothing you could do. And she's caught in the game. And she's caught in the game. A baby selling her body, caught in the game. And ain't nothing the police can do about it because it's not sex trafficking. And if she used the right communication, you can't get her on prostitution. If she's selling out her house where she stays with this man, ain't nothing y'all can do about it. And who have made this legal? The people that made this legal is the American government. That's who has made it legal. That's who has made it legal for this to be possible. Because it's people that can, if I said it, people can do it. If you think it, people can do it. Just put it like that. In most cases, anything that you can think about, they can do. Anything you can think about, most of it can be done. If it's a reasonable situation. So if they already have child marriage in this country, they have child marriage in the country, they have the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, it's safe to say a pimp can utilize that. A pimp is going, in fact, as far as the street life, a pimp is going to be the first type of hustler that's interested in this. Because he doesn't care about age. He don't feel that he's a pedophile. He feels that he's using a female as young as he can get her. That's how he feels. But in actuality, many pimps are pedophiles. In actuality, because they're going after. Just think about you selling something that You're selling a woman, a female as a product. A pimp is. He wants that to be as uncharted on as possible in mint condition, right? Just like any product. You don't want to sell a game console and it's beat up, right? You want it to be in mint condition. It ain't no different than the women, than the females. So he'll go get a female practically in mint condition and use her all of her body up for money. And the thing about it is the American government haven't considered this yet. They be going out the prostitution rings, which is to me is just like I said, it's contradiction. It's hypocrisy. Okay, you going out to prostitution, right? But you've made a lifestyle for pimps and prostitutes. You don't think there's no pimps and prostitutes taking advantage of the age of consent under 18 in 40 states? Where a man can have sex with a girl that's underage. You don't think pimps taking advantage of that? You don't think sex traffickers are taking advantage of that? You don't think people that are just putting girls out on the market are taking advantage of that? Of course they are. That goes right with their that is the right design. That is part of the design for their lifestyle, for what they're doing. So to me, it's a contradiction. It's what I call a law of conflict. When you have the age of consent under 18 in 40 states and 44 states with child marriage, and the last child marriage law was passed July 1st, 2019, which was 3 years ago. Those are laws of conflict against prostitution charges and pimp charges and even sex trafficking charges, but definitely pimp charges and prostitution charges, because you have to face the reality and be savvy enough. That's the word, savvy in your understanding. Fluid is another word, fluid in your understanding that you are providing laws for pimps and prostitutes. Because like I said, you might look on TV, you might see a prostitute that's about 5'10" to about 6 foot even with heels on. That's after she's been pimping for 5 to 10 years. The true reality is that's a prostitute after she get hooked on drugs. She get hooked on drugs. That's the stereotypical prostitute that you looking at. But you ain't looking at all these other prostitutes that you never see, these young girls that are children of drug addicts that got hooked on drugs, and they let the drug dealer pimp out their girl, right? And you would never know about it because it's just done too undercover. But at the end of the day, if they technically get caught, people might not like it. The police might find them despicable, but there's some cases, a lot of cases that you don't hear about because it was legal. If it's legal, you ain't gonna hear about it. It ain't gonna make the news. It's only when stuff is illegal that it hits the news. So there's many cases where police may come into a situation where people are informing authorities that a girl is being pimped out by her own, maybe by her own mom or dad, or by some dope dealer, right? And then when they investigate the situation, she is within the age of consent in the state and city, and it's nothing they can do. Which means it's the liability that the American government created. See, you haven't looked at the whole prostitution lifestyle. You just look at the girl with the big hair on TV with the heels bouncing around like Julia Roberts on Pretty Woman. That's your idea of a prostitute. But if you know the whole lifestyle and you look at the whole lifestyle, the dark side of it and the scrambling of it, if you will, in and the scruffing of knuckles of it, the hustling of it, the desperation of it, children are used. You know what I'm saying? Children are used. You know, it's not always the stripper-like girl that pimps are using. And that's what you think. Oh, it's the big booty girl. It's the big booty woman that, you know, that's out there selling her body. That's obvious. You can see that a mile away. But that ain't all the pimp game. That ain't all the prostitution game. That's not even half of it, in my opinion. It's people that you would least expect that's out there doing it. Going to places that you least expect. That's what they do now. They ain't gonna go where you expect, down a boulevard or avenue where it's hot and the police is everywhere. They ain't gonna do that. They gonna go somewhere else. They gonna go like to coffee shops or, you know what I'm saying, to a diner or something. Where businessmen like hang out and stuff and make themselves presentable just enough slightly. You know what I mean? And then that girl may be a hook for girls younger than her. So she could put these businessmen on to girls that's younger than her. So she in herself is a pimp. She's a pimp, but she's being pimped out too. But she's a pimp for young girls. So she may go into a situation where she's attractive enough to approach men and then let them know what the business is. And the thing is like I said, ain't nothing you could do about a child that's in a situation with a pimp that is within the age of consent in his state and city. Like, say, for instance, New York, right? You got the age of consent at 17. So, you know, you got pimps that'll take advantage of that. Remind you, all 17-year-old girls are not 5'11", 6 foot even. You're thinking about basketball players. But use your complexity of thought, if you will. There's girls that's 16 that look 13. They flat chest. They don't have any kind of physique of a woman at all. And that's what pedophiles go after. So you might have a 17-year-old girl that look like she 12. She petite. Think about it, it's a female already. So she may come off like, she may look like she's 12. And they love that even more. That's what you're not considering. You thinking 17 is ready for the world, but you're not considering the physique of all 17-year-old girls, or most 17-year-old girls. Even me, when I was like 16, I was petite, and I'm a dude. I'm a guy. I was petite and slim when I was 16, right? Imagine these girls that's 16 and 17, how petite they are. So you got to understand, you got to get in the psyche of the pedophiles. They like it. They like the whole young physique, the flat chest, the flat butt. They like all of that, right? When females are 16 and 17, their anatomy, what you have to understand, their anatomy is not in full bloom. That's something that I need to address more and more. I might do a video on that. Their anatomy is not in full bloom. Their breasts are not fully developed. Their buttocks is not fully developed, right? Their vagina is not even fully developed. That's what you should think about. Their vagina is not even fully developed. Not at 17, not at 16. These are the real conversations that we got to have, you know? These are the real conversations we got to have. And the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this, man. If you provide the ages that the pimps is after by consent, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the situation. Like I said, in New York, the age of consent is 17. Those girls for Sikhs, 17-year-old girls, I would say 60% of them look younger than 17. 60% of them do. The other 40%, which is reasonable, the other 40% almost half, maybe tall, maybe they may look like they 24, some of them, but 60% of them look younger than 17. That's what you got to consider. And this is exactly what the pedophiles are after. And if somebody here is in New York is pimping these girls, you don't think they're taking full advantage of that? Of the age of consent is 17, now they can have girls that look younger than that. That's ideal. You think these pimps care if them guys out there they selling them women to, or girls to? You think they care if them guys are pedophiles? They don't care. They don't care because they want you to have sex with the girl anyway. So, like, what is it their business? Their business is you're having sex with the person that I'm presenting to you. If I don't see you do nothing else, if I don't see you do nothing else, then what I supposed to do? That's what pimp thinking. If somebody telling me this, that, and the third, well, he's here for what I got. That's all I can say. And they're like, man, trust me, they ain't thinking about that. They just making sure the girl is safe, that he ain't no serial killer or something, that he ain't no person that's gonna kill the girl after he have sex with her or something like that. They just making sure he ain't that type of guy. Other than that, they could care less. They don't have time to pick their brain about it. So the American government has to realize, man, you have done things as far as these laws, you have done things to make yourself liable as far as what goes on out here. If you got the age of consent at 17 and 16, when most of these girls at 16 and 17 are flat chested with no buttocks, look like children, maybe even 14. Some 17-year-old girls look 14. This is ideal. And a pimp can take that, the age of consent, and take a flat chest girl and go out here and sell her to pedophiles. And it's nothing you can do if they swift and on their toes when they use the right words for the transaction. And she moves right according to the transaction. If she got a good pimp, they not gonna run off after sex. Especially if it's a girl that they're into and they like, that they want to keep seeing, they not gonna run off without paying, right? Most jobs are not gonna run off if they're pretty girls or girls that they want to see more than one time. They don't want to mess that situation up. It's a good situation. They don't want to rock the boat. So they're not gonna run off, right? You ain't gotta worry about that. And it's gonna be hard to get undercovers in there or anything like that, because the only way that's gonna happen is if some neighbors are noticing traffic coming in and out of a place. That's the first, and they know it's a young girl in the apartment. That's what's going to spark a red flag in the mind of people and get the authorities snooping around. If they see a girl that's in the house, she dressed suggestively all the time and she doesn't look 18, and it's like mad traffic in the house, and even other girls coming in and out of the house. The average person knows what's going on. But if that doesn't happen, right, and it's discreet, and the movement is discreet, and maybe you have neighbors that's just blind, or they just not as swift as the pimp and the prostitute, then they're under the radar. And you have made that lifestyle possible legally with the age of consent. You have made it possible legally, right? And so it makes me wonder how you can go lock up people that prostitute when prostitution is almost legal anyway. It boggles my mind how you can go and have sting operations with prostitutes, right? Concerning prostitutes and pimps, right? But you have the lifestyle set out for them through the laws of the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. In 40 states now. That only leaves 10 states that you don't have the age of consent under 18. That's only 10 states that does have the age of consent at 18 out of the whole country. 10 states out of the whole country. So the rest can use these underage ages for pimping, for tricking and pimping. That's what you gotta understand. For pimping and tricking, they can use it, and then you will turn around and be saying, "Wow, well, I don't know how that even happened. Like, so, like, why the pimp didn't get locked up? You know why? Because the legally she was able to have sex with fully grown men. You may have felt she was too young for it. You may have felt she looked too young for it, but in all actuality, it was legal. And see, for people that say, well, what's the big deal with age? Well, you also got to look at this. You also got to look at the fact that the mind is manipulated of these girls. They're not even ready for the world at all. Half of them don't even got a job. Half of them don't know nothing about life or people. Their chances of being a normal human being or not being reduced down to a pet is slim. They're gonna be reduced down to a pet. They're gonna be reduced down to, a dog. And if you don't realize that, you will just be talking about, well, that's almost an adult. But you don't know how far that human being, you're not thinking about how far that child has to go before they're able to make competent decisions and able to make rational decisions and good decisions and wholesome decisions and sound-minded decisions. You don't know how long it's going to take through experiences for them to be able to do that. So you just let them go out there with the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. You just let them go out there, not considering how long it's going to take for them to have experiences to have sound-minded, to make sound-minded decisions. How much experience is going to take in the real world, especially these days, to make sound-minded decisions and rational decisions. And even when they come to that point where they're able to make rational decisions and sound-minded decisions, you still gotta deal. You still have situations where people die living that lifestyle. Living any lifestyle. Even when they come to the point where they can make rational decisions within normalcy, decisions that have a sense of normality. Even within that situation, there's still danger and there's still death. So, safe to say, you should make your human beings here in America wait as long as possible before they get out there without any experiences, knowing how dangerous the world is. I'm telling you, as much every day, everywhere, every passing day, the age of consent under 18 in 40 states is becoming more and more and more of a liability for your government and community. It's becoming more and more of a liability with every passing day because it's more and more dangerous. And if you think that no girls are out there, then you're dreaming. Think about this. If you have people that are always getting caught up in illegal sexual activity, you don't think people are taking advantage of legal laws that you pass? If they're getting caught up in illegal activities, you don't think nobody is taking advantage of legal laws that you have? Use your brain. They're already getting caught up in illegal stuff. So you think these pedophiles don't know the law? You don't think there's people that check out? They are pedophile by nature, but you don't think they check out the law and just want to do it legally and see what it is and do the legal thing? You don't think there's some people that just say, I ain't trying to get locked up, so I'm gonna go with this. Well, this good enough. I ain't gotta be with nobody that's, a baby. I ain't gotta be with no babies. This is good enough right here. And it's still pedophilia. And it's still a human being that's going to be manipulated mentally, reduced down to a pet. It's still going to be a human being that has no experiences in life enough to fend off real predators and to fend off evil people. They're not going to have enough experiences in life to fend off the wrong people. That's what you got to look at. You just looking at age. They almost there. But even at 18, you ain't got enough experiences to fend off evil people, to fend off wicked people, to fend off all type of crazy people with psychosis and all other mental sicknesses. You don't have enough experiences at 18 even to fend off these type of individuals, let alone 16 and 17. So knowing this, why would you make yourself liable as the American government, knowing that a 16 to 17-year-old girl or boy does not have enough life experiences to fend off evil people? Not just the sex act is what you should be looking at. You need to be looking at this part, which means you're putting young people that don't even have a fighting chance yet, you putting them in harm's way through these laws. Because at those ages is when, in all actuality, is when sexuality and hormones get to going. You turn 16, 17, you start to realize that you're a sexual being, right? We all did. We all came to that point around that time. Maybe from even 14. About 14, you start realizing you're a sexual being, right? Not just a human being, you're also a sexual being, right? Through hormones and raging hormones is what people will call it. We all went through that. So that's what's going to make it very easy for their age bracket to be manipulated, because they already are coming into touch with their sexuality. And then you have people that prey on that. Even at 18, they prey on that. You still can have predators at 18. Just because they're legal doesn't mean people are not predators. That's a 7 Al. You got people that are still predators, preying on that are considered predators, that are engaging with people that are 18, because their intentions are not pure. Their intentions are not sound-minded. Their intentions is to just use this person up sexually. That's what it is. And if you're not aware of it, you'll be sitting back talking about, well, they're 18. Nothing wrong with that. But what you need to be looking at is how much experience in life you had at 18. You ain't have no experience. You made crazy decisions. You got with the wrong person. You went through your first marriage was a complete mistake. Most of us, most of us here in America, our first marriage was a mistake. It was out of lust. It was out of sexual impulse, and just really finding someone that is consistent sexually. That's all it was. You found the most people marry the first consistent sexual partner. That's the problem. You may get lucky. In many cases, people get lucky where you will find someone that you are consistent with sexually, and it just works. And some of those, like I'm in that situation, and things can, and you can't. It's just a stroke of luck. I don't say stroke of luck because God is real, so it could be a blessing, right? It's a blessing, right? But in cases where people don't serve God, it's a stroke of luck, you know. But in many other cases, though, there are people that will find their first consistent sexual partner, and this will determine a marriage. This will bring about a marriage. And the reason why is because you didn't have enough experiences in life to know what you want, first of all. This is why we can't take child marriage seriously, because even as an adult, most people's first marriage was a mistake. So how is a child marriage not a mistake? That's a 7 hour. How's a child marriage not a mistake? Right? But most adult marriages are a mistake. Man, I gotta do a video on that, man. Most adult marriages, the first one is a mistake. And it's usually because the reason why the marriage happened, like I said, is because it's the first consistent sex partner. That's what it is. And you just in the groove of that, and you just think you're in love. I've done it. And you just think you're in love, and you really don't know, you really haven't seen enough personalities to know if that's what you want to live with for the rest of your life. Now, when you get a little older, the average person that's not famous, you've seen enough personalities at a certain age. Now, famous people, you've seen millions and millions, hundreds of thousands of people. So you can kind of determine what kind of personality you like more quicker than the average person. But for us average everyday people, it takes us years to determine what kind of personality we like. And that's what's going to determine what you're able to live with for the rest of your life. If you don't like a certain personality, the worst thing you can do is marry that person. That's the worst thing you can do. And many times in this culture, people just go with this consistent sex partner. That's what they go with. But you're not looking at the personality that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. You're not looking at that part. And so when you look at the complexity of a marriage, it also makes me note how much of a joke child marriage is. They don't even consider all the dynamics of what adults would consider, like the personality, what we have, the compatibility levels. You don't have any compatibility levels with a child. You see what I'm saying? You don't. You don't have that. So it's void. It's in vain. It's void. It's invalid. It's not valid. And, and while we're on that note, when you have the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, you have to ask yourself, what experiences do these kids have to where they should be interacting with adults? You should wait. What you should do is make yourself completely not liable. You should make yourself absolutely not liable. Okay? People are going to do what they're going to do, but we are not going to be liable concerning what people do. That's a 7 hour. we're not going to be liable for what people do out here. If they want to be with 17-year-old girls, they want to be with 16-year-old girls, we're not going to have anything to do with that. Because we know that a 16 to 17-year-old girl or boy does not have enough experiences in the world to be out here messing with these fully grown people that can prey on their innocence, that can prey on their lack of experiences. Even after 18. Even after 18, let alone 16, 17. And so what a wise government would do is make themselves absolutely not liable. See, all you, and see, you telling on yourself. You want me to tell you what you're telling on yourself about? Do you want me to tell you what you're telling on yourself about? You're telling on yourself concerning the fact that you're only concerned with the age. Well, if you was concerned with the lack of experience that a 16 to 17-year-old has, then you wouldn't put yourself in that situation, now would you? See, you tell on yourself that you're only worried about the age, which makes you a simple government, a simple-minded government. You're not looking at, like I said, the lack of experiences that a 16, 17-year-old has in the world, which will make them completely vulnerable to manipulations of all types. Stealing money from their own family, with some crazy guy, having sex with this girl's out here wild, now she's ripping off her family for this older guy. I mean, it's all kind of situations, even killing her own family for money. You're not looking at all the whole scope of how a child at that age can be manipulated. All you're looking at is 16, 17 is almost there. Which at 18, you ain't almost there. So why would you make yourself liable when the foundation is still child vagina? That's the foundation for why you're liable. The second liability is the fact that you have to realize that they have absolutely no experiences. The average 16, 17-year-old girl has no experiences in life. Now you see where we're going with this. I got to do a video on that. A 16, 17-year-old girl has no experiences in life. What experiences do she have? 10 years ago, she was 7. 10 years ago, a 17-year-old girl was 7 years old. That's for the age of consent here in New York, being 17. So what kind of experiences do she have in the past 10 years when she was 7 and 10 years ago? She was 17 years ago. She was 7 years old 10 years ago. What experiences has she had in the past 10 years that an adult that will help her be able to stand in the same space of an adult, right? So she has no experience. So she literally is like a child. Well, a child has no experience in the world, right? That's a 7 hour. A child has no experience in the world. This is how we know they're children. That's a 7 hour. This is how we know they're children. Because they have no experiences in the world. You can't have no experiences in the world at 16 and 17 for the average girl. She ain't got no experiences in the world, which means she's going to be manipulated and reduced down to a pet in most cases. That's what's going to happen. You're liable for that, bro. You're liable for that, and you're responsible for not being diligent and fluid and savvy concerning your community and culture. You got to be fluid. That's the word. You can't just be saying, well, 16, 17, almost there. You have to be fluid and savvy concerning your community and culture and the fluctuations thereof. You can't say, in the 80s, that was kind of like cool. In the 90s, that was kind of cool. You gotta be able to go through the changes in your culture. You gotta be able to go through the fluctuations in your culture. This is what separates fluid governments, savvy governments, fluid individuals, and simpletons. Many of you are simpletons. All you're thinking about is the age. You're not thinking about the lack of experience that a 16 and 17-year-old girl will have in the world. And you're basically sending her among wolves, which means she can basically almost die just trying to have sex. That's a 7 hour. She can almost die trying to have sex. Especially in a world like this. In a world like this. With all these crazy people that's killing fully grown adults. They're killing fully grown adults. Let alone 16, 17. And how much more of a chance how less of a chance does a 17, 16-year-old girl have fending for themselves in this way against evil people, gang stalkers, evil eavesdropping people, all these crazy weirdos in our community, and you allow 16 and 17-year-old girls to interact with them sexually, which makes them totally vulnerable in every way. So you show how simple you are as a community. Because all you thinking about, oh, come on, that's almost there. But but I'm gonna tell you what's not almost there. Her experiences in the world, which makes her a child. Haven't even held down a job. Don't even got enough job experience. She ain't been working for 10 years. So she don't even got enough interaction with adults. But you giving her a legal interaction with adults. That's a 7 hour. How much interactions do a 16 and 17-year-old girl have with adults besides her parents? Well, she's still in school, so the only adult interactions that she has on a day-to-day basis is going to be the teacher and the staff of a school and family members that she's probably not really connected with these days. So she really don't have no real experiences with adults. But yet you're giving her legal access to experiences with adults. So see, the next phase in the progression of understanding why this is wrong and why this is a liability, because in your culture specifically, these girls are not growing up as quick as they used to. You forgetting about this. Well, let's look at the fact that most girls and boys in America don't leave home till they're about mid-20s. Most adults these days in America, come on now, you're either in the past or you're in the present. And you're going into the future. Which one is it? Because the last time I checked, most American adults do not leave home until they're into their mid-20s, even 27 and 28 years old. And they lollygag and they tell their parents they're saving money and they haven't found the right apartment and they're trying to get a better job before they make that move. That's the class. That would be the classic one right now. Well, I'm working, but I'm gonna try to get a better job before I get out there, so I have more money. Parents don't really care because they want you around, so they let you do it. So most kids these days are like 5 years younger mentally than they really are. So if you have a 21-year-old, they're more like 16. If you have somebody that's 25, they're more like 20 years old. Below the age to drink. That's how they act. And if you don't consider this, all you'll be talking about is age, age, age. You need to start thinking about the experience, the lack of experiences that the youth have, so that you can, so that, and apply that to these ages of consent that you got going on. You got to keep up with your community. You can't be sitting back talking about the 80s and the 90s. You can't even be sitting back talking about the early 2000s when we in 2023. We 2 decades within the millennium. And here you is talking about 2002. You talking about 2002. Here we are in 2023. Many of you can't keep up. You can't keep up with the changes that's in your community. You can't keep up with the fluctuations and vacillations in your community. It's no reason that you should lack understanding concerning how young-minded and immature 20-somethings are and younger are. They're all immature these days. And with that being said, how immature you think a 16 and 17-year-old child is? Look at the 20-year-olds. Look at the people in their 20s. Look at the people in their 30s that you can have sex with. Do you want to have sex with them? Not the average one. They're man-childs. They're immature. They sit around playing video games all the time. I mean, you want to have sex with somebody like that? What does that say about you? No sense of masculinity. Can't teach you nothing. Can't tell you nothing about nothing. You know, what does that say about you? So that's what I'm saying, man. You know, you got to start looking at the lack of experiences that these children have at 16 and 17, which makes you liable. You're not looking out for the humanity that's here with you. You just, okay, you can do this, and you know it's a liability to them and you. And that's when it comes down to understanding that you're putting your humanity in harm's way. That's what you're doing. When it boils down to it, what it boils down to is that you're putting your humanity here at a young age in harm's way. And it's already dangerous enough for the adults. And here you are still making it, you're putting children in harm's way, making it easy for them to be in harm's way. And then you're the first in line talking about we love the kids and we want to protect the kids and we got to do stuff for the kids. Let me tell you what you got to do for the kids. You got to first get them out of harm's way before we take you seriously. You got to take them out of harm's way before we take you seriously about anything you talking about. And I don't care who it is. The FBI, they under the laws. The police is under the laws. The military is under the laws. You don't have anyone, in other words, to intimidate me. Because see, on this level that I'm on, look what I'm talking about. I'm showing you where they're not competent. So why would I be intimidated? What do I need to be intimidated about? Please point it out to me. Because I'm making more sense than all of them. You got the age of consent in a place where people lack experience. They can't have any experience in life. It's most likely not possible. It's most likely not going to happen. It's highly unlikely that they have any type of real hands-on experience with other human beings. With every passing day, that liability is becoming worse. It's worse because there's many cases that you don't hear about. You know why you don't hear about them? Because it was legal. If a girl was 17 and she done got out here turned out and you got the age of consent at 17, how that's going to hit the news? Her parents know about it. You know, she's all turned out and on drugs and everything. Her parents know about it. You don't. How that's going to make the news when you got the age of consent at 17? How you going to know about it, in other words? And that's where we separate simple people from people with complex understanding. Some things you just don't hear about because it doesn't make sense for you to hear about it. Okay, the age of consent is at 17, but this 17-year-old girl got turned out. Well, where's the news? Where's the shocking part? Where's the shocking part? Where's the part that we should be appalled according to our cultures and customs that we have allowed? That's a 7, Al. Well, you allowed it. Why is it shocking? Why is it shocking to you when you know the age of consent is at 17 and she got turned out at 17? So how's that going to make the news? She's 17. She got turned out at 17. You got the age of consent at 17. So how that's going to make the news? That's what I'm saying. and this shuts down all them people talking about, well, that's almost there. Give me a break. Come on. Well, I can't give you a break when it comes to the fact that she has a lack of experience. I can't give you a break when 10 years ago, she was 7 years old, which means in the past 10 years, she has no real hands-on adult experience or experiences with adult. From 7 to 17, I mean, who she was interacting with as far as adults? Huh? So that's what we can't give you a break about, buddy. That's what we can't give you a break at, buddy. That's a 7 Al. That's what we can't give you a break at, buddy. She has no experience. She's basically like a pet already and goes out here with these guys who eat her up like wolves eat hot dogs. Just throw her back in their chops and just smack her up. That's what happens. Wolves eating her like sausages. Man, listen, man, it happens every single day. It happens every single day. And then you running around here talking about you saving the world and you helping people. And subconsciously you think you're some type of superhero. How are you some type of superhero? I'm trying to make it make sense for you. I'm trying to make it make sense for you, bro. How are you a superhero when you're totally oblivious and blind and deaf to this situation? When I can point this out to a T and you can't. Why you think you're around here Bruce Wayne and you not? Listen, man. You got child marriage laws in your country. You got 44 states with child marriage in your country. You know what I'm saying? You got the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. Come on, man. You got your new child law was passed 3 years ago, bro. I mean, come on, man. Listen, the problem with you Americans that could be useful for as far as guardianship, the problem with you is you're in the alter realities and you have too many alter egos. You're all type of peoples in your mind. You got multiple personalities through these alter ego heroes you think you are. You got multiple personalities through these alter ego heroes who you think you are and you're not. And you're not them. Well, if you were them, you would have more of a complex and fluid understanding and savvy understanding of your community and culture. You're simple. You're a simpleton. But yet you're Batman, but you're simple. Well, you got 44 states with child marriage. Sitting out here acting like you saving the world. I think you're a simpleton. Well, how you're not a simpleton when they have the age of consent of 18 and 40 states, when these girls who are 16 and 17 have no experience in life, which makes them basically children, out here able to have sex legally with adults, and your American government allowed that, and they can't see the liability in that. You and them are simple. You can't see the liability in that for you, where you made them vulnerable and put them in harm's way through allowing them to be sexually accessible to adults. And you don't think nobody's taking advantage of that. And therefore, you don't think you're liable in any way. Okay. Okay. God holds everybody responsible. You can't be talking about, well, other countries, Lord, you know what other countries do, but the Lord knows the sophistication of your thoughts. God knows the sophistication of your country. This is what you're forgetting. This is how you're using a Jedi mind trick on yourself. Nobody's doing it. You're doing it. You're telling yourself what other countries are doing. That's how you're justifying it. God doesn't hold you responsible for what another country does. That's a 7 hour. A whoa. God doesn't hold you responsible for what God doesn't hold you responsible according to what another country is doing. That's their liability. He holds you responsible to the complexity of your mind, the fluidity of your mind, how fluid you are in your mind, and how savvy you are in your mind. If you know better as adults, then God's going to hold you responsible to what you know, to how much better you know to do. If you have someone that's ignorant, then unfortunately they're not going to be held more responsible than you. Man, come on, man. You know better than this. You're trying, the way you're justifying it is you're looking at less sophisticated communities and societies, and you're saying, look what they're doing. They're way less sophisticated than you. They're way less cultured in the world than you. So you don't think God realized the difference? You can't Jedi mind trick God, man. He knows that you feel that they are children and you shouldn't be having sex with them. The reason why you have been passing these laws, and you passed the last law 3 years ago, I suspect is because you're looking at other countries. You're looking at what they're doing. You're saying, well, look what other countries are doing. They're doing worse than what we're doing. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. In China, they don't have child marriage. In Russia, they do not have child marriage. Those are two of the most sophisticated societies that you are in, that rivals your society as a whole, not just militarily speaking. And they beat you as far as understanding, that children are off limits. At the end of the day, they beat you because you have child marriage. So you can't, in other words, you can't act superior to them when it comes to child sex and child sexual interaction. You can't act superior to the Russians. Well, the Russians is in a better situation than you. How are you going to be superior to them in that category? How are you superior to me in this category? When you have the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, and when you got 44 states with child marriage. In fact, how are you superior to pedophilia or pedophiles? How are any of you superior in purity and in understanding? When you have the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, and when you got 44 states with child marriage, how are you superior to a pedophile? That's a 7 hour. Well, you got 44 states with child marriage. How are you looking down on him? How? It make sense. How are you superior to him when you're ignorant of your own community and culture? How are you ignorant? How are you more superior than her when you're ignorant to your own culture? You don't even know what y'all doing. You have no idea of it. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You don't even know what you're doing. Literally. And this will separate the men from the boys, like I like to say, and the girls from the women. Because everybody talks a good game, and then when we start talking in this lane right here, this is where we lose everybody. This is where we lose your whole society. When we start talking about 44 states with child marriage, we lose your whole society. When we start talking about the fact that 16 to 17-year-old girls and boys don't have no experience in the world, being that they were 6 and 17 years ago, we lose your whole society. So how are you superior in thought, in character, in integrity, in purity, concerning pedophiles? How are you superior to them concerning purity when you have 44 states with child marriage? Make it make sense, bro. You ain't superior to them. You ain't no better. In other words, you're no better. Therefore, how can you literally judge someone that you're not better than? You don't have better judgment. You don't have better judgment. You marrying children in 44 states, buddy. That's a 7 hour. How you got better judgment than a pedophile? I got to do a video about that. How do you have better judgment than a pedophile when you got to 44 states with child marriage and you got the age of consent under 18 in 40 states? How do you have better judgment than a pedophile? Show me. Show me. Show me. Show me where you got better judgment. And I put up my gun. You can't do it, can you? So I got to keep my gun out. You can't show me where you got better judgment. You can't show me where you're exercising better discretion. You can't show me where you're exercising better purity. You can't show me where you don't have the same desires as a pedophile do. You can't. Where you gonna show me that at? That's what I'm saying. And that's why I love reality. You know why I love reality? Because everybody got thoughts. Everybody got thoughts that they ponder. Everybody got feelings and emotions and illusions that's all around them. And some people are just, quite frankly, delusional. But the beautiful thing about reality is it cuts through all of the delusions and illusions and all of these alter realities that people are in. Okay, this is reality. And it defines who you are. Reality defines what's really going on. Reality cuts through all the bull crap, right? When you got 44 states with child marriage, it cuts through all the bull crap you got going. Whether it's operations, whether it's people that you got around here that's thinking they're better than other people, they're thinking they have some higher level of purity. How you got a higher level of purity and you just as dumb as a bag of rocks don't even know what's going on in your own community? If you had a higher level of purity, you would have already sucked out what the laws are. Yeah. When you go to the highest heights of something, you get the information concerning the higher heights. You get the information on those things that you are in lane with, if you will. So how come you don't got no information with the things you in lane with? How come you don't have no information on the things that you claim to be an avenger for? All you people claim to be avenger for children. How come you don't got no information on the children's situations here? They make it make sense. You claim to be a child avenger, but have no understanding of what's going on around you. In your pursuit of being on a higher level as a child avenger, you would have complementing information and intelligence concerning child avenging. What's your information concerning child avenging? Yeah, that's for these people that run around in cartoon underwear thinking you Superman. Yeah, trying to catch pedophiles, making up fake profiles to try to bait pedophiles. Okay, so if that's your lane, how come you don't got information on your lane? If you're about that life, how come you don't got information about that life? Come on, man, stop playing with me, man. You deserve it. You know why you deserve it? Because you're sitting around here acting like you're something that you're not. And then acting like everyone else is so inferior to you. You know the type. You know the narcissistic type. Sitting back acting like everybody's inferior to you. And that's many of these authorities. You don't say it, but you feel like you're better than everybody. You feel like you got something going on. Okay, how you got something going on when you got 44 states with child marriage? Well, the next question is, do you care what they got going on? Really? I don't care what kind of party you got going on. You got 44 states with child marriage. Listen, man, everybody would want this not to be reality, but unfortunately, we have to face reality. This is reality, man. So I'm not to blame. I'm not to blame for your reality. So you can't say, I wish this wouldn't have happened. because you need to know it. So you can't regret it because you need to know the truth. So you regret it. What does that say about you? No, you know what you need to regret is that you put the people in power that did this to you, that put you in this situation, and you need to get rid of them now. That's what I'm trying to show you. Your anger and fury should be expressed against the people that put you in this situation. But you ain't doing that. That's where you need to be. That's where you need to get up and get all that little sadness, foolishness off of you. And you need to get up and let your balls hang and handle these people that made this happen. That's what you need to do. You sitting around here sad and moping around, and you need to take all that energy, transform it, and get angry at the rightful people. That's what I'm trying to provoke you to do. They the one put you in this situation where everything is different. So you can't be mad at knowing this. That's what I'm trying to show you. You can't be mad about knowing it. Nah. You can't be mad about knowing it. You can't be mad at me because I'm telling you. You need to be mad at the people that put you in this situation. That's what you need to be doing. That's what you need to be mad. That's who you need to be mad at. And that's why you should expire their positions. That's why you should get rid of them now. That's why their government should be expired now. They don't got to die. They just can't be the government. Because they put you in this situation. Look at that for what it is. I'm doing a video on that. I'm going to do a video on that. They put you in this situation. At the end of the day, nobody made them do this, did they? Nobody used a Jedi mind trick. Nobody used curses. This never was right. You have to come to terms with it. This country never was right. This system of this country, America, was never right. And now that you kind of are here, I'm saying it like that. Now that you're kind of here, and everyone's kind of gathered here, why not get rid of the fools that keep making these decisions and they ain't doing nothing for you anyway, and they put you in this situation? Won't you go ahead and get rid of them? Look, they're out of touch. Look at them. I'm not saying all of them, but come on, man. These people do not relate to your community and to you. They don't act even human. You want to know who don't act human? Look at these politicians. They don't have any sense of what you need. They don't act like they know what you need. You don't need no policies. You need money and food. That's what you need. Plain and simple. You don't need nobody telling you about some policies. That's all. That's a Jedi mind trick. You know, they're always talking about these policies. Why don't you just talk about better food and more money? That's what I'm talking about. Pretty simple, ain't it? It's too simple it's just too perfect for it to be like that, ain't it? Where they can just talk to you about more money and more food, right? Right? It's too perfect. That's too perfect of a situation, ain't it? In reality, they're out of touch and out of time. Okay? That's why I'm in the position that I'm in right now. It ain't because they're so good that I want to fight them and rival them. Am I talking about anything good about them? Do you see anything good about them since I'm telling you this? So it ain't jealousy. You can't say it's jealousy. You can't say I'm player hating. I'm talking about 44 states for child marriage. I'm player hating. Well, it's a big issue. It's a big issue that most people can't let go. So you can't say I'm player hating. All right? What you need to realize is, man, that right there, that right there ain't gonna get no better, man. Those are a bunch of fake people, man. Can't you see that? And on top of them being fake, they got 44 states for child marriage. Now, what kind of person is that? Fake weirdos and stuff. Really? Suburban and fake weirdos. Nah, you don't need that, man. You need to realize there's enough people to overtake that and start something else. They don't, like I said, they don't gotta die. They just like, that system is a joke. Let's talk about Let's talk about this without violence. Let's talk about this without bloodshed. You need to expire from as a government because you're a joke. Every time someone starts talking like this, oh, that's a national security threat. Why? Because I'm calling you a joke? Your system a joke? Your laws a joke? Oh, I'm a national security threat because I'm pointing out that you're incompetent? I'm a national security threat because I'm telling you the facts that you're incompetent and marrying children. That's how you know how far we've gotten from reality, guys. We talk about freedom of speech, but I can't tell you how incompetent they are. They got 44 states for child marriage, and you can't see that they're incompetent. Listen, like I said, we ain't got to talk about bloodshed. We ain't got to talk about nobody dying. I'm gonna handle it without bloodshed and war. That system has to go because they're marrying children in 44 states. They're the reason why you're in this situation. As far as a system, it has to go. The people don't have to die. The system has to go, right? That's it. Now, you can take it as what it technically is, which that's what it technically is, that system has to go, or you can attach yourself to it and feel that you're going to defend a pedophile a country, and then God goes to war with you. This is it, bro. And I don't die. I know you thought I was going to die. I'm not going to die, bro. I'm not going to die, bro. God already showed me this time the good guy wins. They assassinated Malcolm X. They assassinated MLK. God said, not this time. See, I got something. I'm not talking about one situation. I'm talking about these people are married children. I'm talking about even if they're not doing that, look at Donald Trump putting you in harm's way with COVID-19. Man, come on. This is over, man. And you just didn't expect it to happen the way it did. But here we are. Good soldiers learn to adapt to their environments. Okay? We wish that we wasn't here. We wish that we were in a better situation, but being a soldier, you have to deal with reality. You got to. You can't be talking about, well, I just wish it wasn't like that. How long you going to keep saying that? How long you going to keep saying, I wish it wasn't like that? Before you end up dead. Talking about, I wish it wasn't like that. You have to realize, man, it's no reason for this to go on anymore. Donald Trump, the Donald Trump administration, he put you in harm's way. He put you in harm's way. He went and didn't tell you that COVID-19 was here as it was. He intentionally slowed down his response to COVID-19 for political points. And if you don't believe that this is factual information, go look at the house, go check the 46-page report. It was a 46-page report that the House Select Subcommittee did on Donald Trump. These people, the House Select Subcommittee, are people that investigate, obviously, administrations of the White House. So they're experienced and skilled to investigate administrations. They're not some people playing in the mud, washing dishes, wetting up shirts, washing dishes, saying, "Mommy, look what I did. I washed dishes." We're not talking about that. Kids washing dishes with a wet shirt. I'm trying to paint you the picture that these are adequate people. They're not kids washing dishes, wetting up shirts, talking about, "Mommy, look what I did." Okay? So you get the point I'm making? Listen. The House Select Subcommittee, the House Select Subcommittee did an investigation on the Donald Trump administration and found out that they had an intentional slow response to COVID-19 for political points, right? for political points. And I'm explaining, and I've explained it time and time again. I'm explaining what that means. Okay, the House Select Subcommittee is people that are skilled in to investigate administrations. They investigated the Donald Trump administration and had a 46-page report that you don't really know nothing about. They had a 46-page report. This is a specific situation. Listen closely. This is not just everywhere and anytime information. They had a certain investigation at a certain place in time, right? The House Select Subcommittee, and they found out that Donald Trump had an intentional, here keyword, intentional slow response to COVID for political points. So he intentionally slowed it down so it can get out of control. That's what you need to look at right there. That's a 7 hour. He intentionally let it get out of control. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do a video on that, because you need to hear it. Sound bites are so important to understanding. And listen, like most of us as human beings, we don't get stuff until we hear the right sound bites, till we hear the right terms, and then it dawns on us, right? He intentionally had a slow response, intentionally, right? He intentionally put you in that situation for political points. He wanted it to get out of control. You need to hear this. Listen, he wanted COVID-19 to get out of control. This don't piss you off? Let me say it again. Let me slow down and pause and let you think about it, and then I'm gonna say it again. He let it get out of control on purpose. This is what the House Select Subcommittee said, not me. They said he had an intentional slow response to COVID for political points. So you'll say, how can he get political points about a slow response? Now you see where I'm going with that. How does a slow response, hear this part very closely, this is for the intelligent people now. How does he get political points for a slow response? Because he wanted it, because the slow response would produce a flared disease that he can get in control, and therefore you would elect him because he controlled a deadly disease in your community. Make sense of it any other way. He had a slow response for political points, where a slow response ain't gonna give you political points now, is it? Logically speaking, on a surface basis, how can a slow response to a deadly disease give you political points? Boom. How can that give you political points among the people? Make it make sense. Can you make sense of that any other way? Again, I gotta say it again. How can a slow response get political points for a president? A slow response now, not a fast response, not jumping on and hopping on and getting it done. A slow response, how can that get political points? Well, this is what the House Select Committee concluded after a 46-page report that they did on his administration, that he had a slow response, an intentional slow response to COVID for political points. So how can a slow response to COVID bring about political points? How do you get political points for that? Because he was going to have a slow response so it gets out of control. He comes in and fixes it. You sing his praises and he gets political points. I know. Now you see why they hate me. Because see, I'm just inclined to see it because I'm a prophet of God. I'm just inclined to see it for what it is. The House Select Subcommittee did a 46-page report on the Donald Trump administration and concluded that he had an intentional slow response to COVID for political points. Now you're getting it. Now you got the soundbite. Now you got the understanding of it. How does that produce political points as a slow response, as a result of a slow response? So obviously, the slow response was to let the virus get out of control. Well, what happens when you have a slow response for the virus? What happens when you have a slow response for a virus? Let's go to the wiring of this. Let's get into the matrix of this. What happens when you have a slow response to a virus like COVID-19? What happens? What happens, guys? If you don't respond to it quickly and swiftly, what happens? What happens to that disease all across the country if you don't do nothing about it? If you have a slow response about doing something about it, what happens? It gets out of control, doesn't it? So what the House Select Subcommittee concluded was he had an intentional slow response. It was an intentional slow response. So why did he have an intentional slow response? Why did the Donald Trump administration have an intentional slow response? Make it make sense. Why did they? Knowing that's going to get out of control as a result of an intentional slow response. So if a slow response is going to make a disease flare up, why would he be intentional with doing that? So that it would flare up and he can come in and fix it, and then you would re-elect him. Remind you, COVID-19 came in election year, which is the equivalent of inspection in the White House. Y'all know what inspection is, don't you? At your jobs, you have inspection. The big wigs come in and you got to make everything look pretty. So why did he make everything look ugly with a slow response, knowing the big wigs is looking around at what you're doing? It's election year, which is the equivalent of a political inspection. So why would he, being conscious that it's election year, basically inspection for the White House, why would he do something stupid as having a slow response to a deadly disease? Because he felt that he can get it under control in election year and get it during inspection time and get reelected. Now you see how much blood he got on his hands for that? And now you see why evil is not departing from your country, because you're still facing the resonation of the evil of the Donald Trump administration. The evil is still resonating as these people are dying. He let it flare up on purpose. The House Select Subcommittee concluded this with a 46-page report. Go Google it. The House Select Subcommittee 46-page report on the Donald Trump administration concerning COVID-19. That's all you got to do. Don't take my word for it. Go do it. Go research it for yourself. I challenge you to do that. Go research it for yourself. Go research it for yourself. That's how confident I am in this information. It's simple. It's simple information. And so you telling me, with that being said, we don't need to get rid of that system. You telling me that ain't the nail in the coffin right there? You telling me that's not the nail in the coffin? They already got 44 states with child marriage. They now just had a slow response to COVID, which means that's why you got 1 million plus deaths. And you telling me that's not the nail in the coffin when they going that far to put you in all harm's way? That's another soundbite. He knew he was putting you in harm's way. Well, if he has a slow response to a virus, I'm pretty sure he knows somebody's going to be affected. Literally, no pun intended. Somebody's going to be affected by an infection of the virus. He didn't care if a couple people got it, in other words. He didn't care if some of y'all got it. Boom. That's what you need to look at. He did not care if some of y'all got it. Didn't know nothing about it really, and he didn't care if y'all got it. Doesn't that match his personality? He didn't care if y'all got it. And you got these rappers out here, man, you shouldn't support none of that no more. Any rappers that's talking about, that is that ignorant, you shouldn't even support that no more. Anybody supporting him, you shouldn't support them no more. You shouldn't even consider them Americans. He knew some of y'all was going to get it. See, he just thought it was going to be the equivalent of the swine flu or the mad cow disease, and he thought he was going to come in and fix it. And he didn't know it was going to get out of control. You need to hear that too. He didn't know it was going to get. He didn't know he wasn't going to be able to fix it.